The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome everyone to the second quarter 2014 members update. My name is Dennis Pulley and I'm going to be conducting the update today. I hope everybody can hear me. Just so everybody knows, everybody is muted. If you have any questions, there's an area down there on your box to write questions in. I will try and pick those up as we go through and answer those the best I can. If I don't have an answer for you, I will get back to you. I will also let you know that at the end of today, anybody who is online and attending, I will put a note in your profile indicating that you have completed the update today. So let's look at what we're going to cover today. We're going to do a brief overview of some standards and procedures changes. There's some important reminders that we want to cover, and then we'll do a recap of the first quarter update. There's not a lot of changes that have occurred to the standards for the second quarter, so those of you who have completed the update for the first quarter, once we get done and we start into that recap, if you want to sign off, you certainly are welcome to do that, and enjoy the rest of your day. We'll also have a chance at the end there for any questions, but certainly if anybody has any questions as we're going through this, feel free to type them in there and I will try and grab those as I see them come up. All right, the only standards change for SDI in this second quarter was to the shallow water diver standard. There was a note in there before that they needed to complete the final exam for the open water diver program, and a lot of people don't have a final exam, so we changed it to coincide with exactly what the open water diver program says, which is number 2 there, completing the knowledge quest or the equivalent electronic or online learning exam. So if an instructor has an additional exam they want to give, they can certainly do that, but this is consistent with what the open water diver program says. Other than that, there was no changes to any of the other SDI standards. The only change to the TDI standards was in Part 1, 7.1.10, and this was clarifying if TDI instructors want to conduct a SCR or CCR program and they're diving one unit and their students are diving on another unit, is that allowed? It is, as long as the instructor is qualified to teach both units. If not, then they're going to have to be on the same unit. Those are the only 2 standards changes that have come up for the second quarter for both SDI and TDI. No standards changes in the ERDI area. Just a couple of things to recap from, or to go back over again, to reiterate this information. I know that we went over this in the first quarter, but we want to make sure that instructor registrations before they start the program, that the prerequisites for the specific instructor program are met. Those prerequisites are listed in the standards. The latest standards are posted online. So if you ever have any question, then certainly you can go online and check those standards. When in doubt, you can certainly contact training@tdisdi.com for clarification. If paperwork comes in and the prerequisites have not been met, that paperwork cannot be processed, and therefore the individual will not be able to receive the rating. If this is a consistent ongoing thing with specific individuals, then it will lead to further investigation, quite frankly. So just make sure that they meet those prerequisites, whether it's a diver level or a leadership level. Just double check your standards and make sure that they have been met before you start the program. Just to reiterate, prerequisites are before the program starts. I think that's pretty straightforward, but we need to make sure that everybody understands that. Requirements can occur during the program, but they have to take place before certification can be issued. Take, for instance, some programs require that a medical is required before the program as a prerequisite, but CPR first aid training is a requirement, so that can occur during the program itself. Again, when in doubt, contact training department at SDI TDI, and you will certainly get back to you and make sure that you understand what we need. Equivalencies, here again, not every other agency is accepted for a crossover. Make sure that if you have a question, you're uncertain, that you contact the training department and we will clarify whether that particular program is an equivalent, and if it's equivalent to the level that they have. So before you again say yes we can do that and yes we can accept that, if you have some questions, clarify it with the training department. Okay, a lot of paperwork. We're still getting paperwork coming in from some of the old paperwork. People must have stored this on their hard drives. They may have copies of it. They're just making another copy and either faxing it or scanning it and emailing it or even mailing it. All the current paperwork is on the website. So my suggestion would be simply to purge your computers of any of that paperwork, go to the website when you need a current copy of something, download it, and you can use that and send that in. We are and have been for probably the last 6 months to almost a year now. Any old paperwork that is coming in, we are returning that and saying, here's the copy of the new one. It can be found on the website. So please go there, but complete this, resubmit it, and we will take care of the processing for you. The other thing is that all new dive leaders should have a user profile set up before the paperwork is sent in. This is a huge benefit, especially for some of those that are in the foreign market, so that you know your territory much better than we here in the U.S. may know that territory. So if you can help us out by setting up a profile and then let us know what the user ID is, that is greatly appreciated. It makes our job a lot easier. We don't have to buy guess and by gosh trying to figure out where these people are. So if you can do that for us, we'd greatly appreciate it. IT staff instructors. The application that is submitted is the same application that is submitted for a full IT training program. Those applications can be received from headquarters. They need to be completed. On page 2, there is a complete list of paperwork that needs to be submitted with the application prior to the program starting. That information must be sent to headquarters. It's reviewed, evaluated, and then approval is given to the individual who wishes to do the training. If we get paperwork in for a person that was not properly approved, it makes it difficult for us because sometimes things are missing and we can't finalize it until we get everything in there. So please, all IT staff applications, make sure that those are sent to HQ for pre-course approval. Once you receive confirmation back from us, then you can do your training. There is a separate evaluation form and paperwork that's required to be submitted at the completion of that. So again, make sure that you have any questions for there answered before you start the program. Just again, this is the every 2-year renewal process. Trainers got to teach a course at their highest level every 2 years. So if you taught somebody in July of 2012 and you haven't taught anybody at a leadership level since then, you need to teach one here. Technically, you should have already taught one, by the 1st of July, but you understand what I'm saying. You need to do that every 2 years. If not, you're going to have to go through an update. Instructors have to do the same thing. Here's just some criteria. I'll let you guys read it. Just quickly peruse through it, give you a minute or two to look through it. Just talks about when you're doing an update with an IT, an instructor's doing an update with an IT, what criteria applies, what that information will cover as far as upgrading their ratings. You can see that there's different update requirements for SDI, TDI open circuit, non-overhead, overhead, CCR, SCR, and then ERDI. Once again, if you have an individual who is out of date and you're unsure what you need to do for this individual, please contact headquarters and we will be glad to assist you in getting them up to date and make sure that their ratings are all taken care of. ITs, talked about this already. Oh yeah, those ITs that have not completed the IT material that was updated a little over a year ago, if you have not done that, make sure that you get that done. If you don't get that done, then your IT rating will go inactive until such time as you do complete that. So just make sure that you complete that update. If you have any questions, shoot us an email at the training department here at SDI TDI, and we'll be glad to get the information sent out to you. And then also, if an IT has been inactive as both an IT and an instructor, you need to make sure that you update the instructor as well as the IT level before you can continue on. And that's really the updates for the new updates for the standards, the SDI standard and the TDI standard, and then a review of some of the key things that we want to keep reiterating to make sure that everybody's on the same page for paperwork processing and that type of thing. Before I go on and do a recap of the first quarter, do I have any questions on that information? Well, it doesn't appear that we have any questions. Once again, as I stated earlier, those of you who did attend the first quarter update, if you wish to log off now, you certainly are welcome to do that. I will put a note in your profile that you did attend the second quarter update, and have a good day. Otherwise, we'll move on. Some new products and services. Oh, here we go. Can an inactive SDI instructor do a refresher online? If there's an update process, if an individual has been actively teaching with another recognized agency, they can do an online update, but they have to provide proof that they've been actively teaching as with that agency. They need to submit some paperwork and they have to do an online refresher. And if you look at the SDI, TDI, or ERDI standards, the 2-year rule that's listed in there in Part 1, the very end of Part 1, it'll tell you exactly what an instructor will need to do, whether they've been active with another agency or not. But it is possible, if an instructor has been active with another agency, to do it via online and via paperwork. The other question is, looks like, do they have to do a Dive Master course every 2 years? They're going to have to be teaching. you know, if they're actively teaching, in my book, if they're actively teaching open water divers, the specialties and those types of things, certainly they can retain their SDI instructor rating. It would be nice for them to teach a dive master or assistant instructor, but that's not necessarily required for the SDI level. They have to be teaching students. Pablo. Any other questions? Okay, let's go on and look at new products and services for some of these came out late 2013, some came out 2014. We'll talk about some testifying in court, rescue diver. Testifying in court is ERDI, rescue diver is SDI, TDI evaluation slates and cue cards, banners, the IT manual, the solo manual, the deep diver manual, Spanish record folders, Spanish logbook, posters and window decals, Discover scuba slates, and then the new logbook cover. Testifying in court, this is a new manual. The purpose of this was designed for individuals who were in the public safety diver area that may need to go in and testify once they have been part of a scene, recovery, those types of things. They have to go into court and testify, and this just gives them some information on how to prepare for it, what they need to do, a little bit about the legal system and how the criminal legal system works, and then also how they can present some testimony if they need to do that. Yeah, it is an e-learning course. They can go through, they can either read the manual or they can do the online course and they can receive the awareness level. There are, for those of you who are into the ERDI side of things, there are 3 different levels, awareness, operations, and technician. And depending on how much work they do, they can receive different ratings. But if somebody simply wants to have the information, the knowledge, they can go through the online program or the written program, and they can receive the awareness level. Rescue diver, there's a new cover, new layout, some minor training, edits, updates, grammar and spelling has been updated, new pictures, and it's now available online. Slates and cue cards. These are a way to record the skills that have been completed and on what dive they've been completed, and then also an update for the tech cue cards are course specific and they correspond with the slates themselves. You can see that they're designed for intro to tech. Side mount can be used for both the SDI and the TDI side mount. Advanced nitrox, advanced rec, deco and helitrox, extended range trimix, advanced trimix, and CCR. Some new posters and window decals. It's just different decals for SDI, TDI, and ERDI. Some window posters. You can talk to your rep or regional office and see about getting those if you need those. Here's some banners, some flow charts. The thing that's nice about these flow charts is a lot of times you'll get a non-diving individual who comes in and wants to become a diver. You can actually show them the flow chart starting at the open water diver, going all the way through the different levels. If they are an open water diver, they want to get involved with technical diving. Again, you get the TDI side of things. If you have somebody who is a diver, but they want to get more involved with public safety diving because their department is looking at expanding, there's the ERDI flowchart. IT manual, this was updated going on a couple years ago now, from about 60 pages in the old IT manual. For those of you who have been in IT for a period of time, you remember that. to over 600 pages. There's PowerPoints available for each section. It's divided into 3 parts. There's one for SDI, TDI, and ERDI. Part 1 is a generic area that you use for the 3 different parts, and then specific parts for the, as I mentioned, SDI, TDI, and ERDI. And all ITs and IT staff instructors must complete the webinar materials webinar to retain their rating. Solo Diver, there's a new cover. It's been added to the online list of programs that can be done. Deep Diver, new cover, new layout, and then some edits as far as training, grammar, and some spelling. Just kind of a facelift and making sure that it's reading good. Reading well, I guess that would be. Okay, the Spanish record folder and logbook. This completes the kit in one language now. So if you have the need for Spanish components, you will now have all those components in one language, Spanish. Discovery scuba slates. They are a smaller slate. The old ones were about 28 inches by 17 inches. The new one's about 14 by 8.5, so it's a lot smaller. It's required for all scuba discovery programs to make sure that you are keeping consistent with the skills and the information that's on there. Logbook, just a new cover. Website, this is constantly being updated. Things are changing. I know that they're working on some of the e-learning stuff now to take it to a new format that'll be able to be used in all kinds of different platforms. Single profile for all courses. If got a question here, sorry about that. Not understanding your question, Jeffrey. Tagalog, is that a computer-based program? Oh, no, not at the current time. Language in the Philippines, no, not at the current time. Okay. Everybody who's on the database now should have, we're striving to have one profile for all the courses. There's sometimes you'll go in and you'll enter a new student and it should tell you if they're already there. But what we're trying to do is merge all the profiles into one. So make sure that you check to see if that individual is already listed. They should know their logon information and that type of thing. Profiles can be set up for new users. Like I said earlier, that if you can do that, that would certainly be advantageous for us. Any plans to rewrite or update the extended range and trimix manuals? You know, Jeffrey, it seems to me that is on the list of things to do, but I'd have to double check and I'll have to get back to you because I am not sure exactly where that's at. Okay, again, compatible with a lot of, the website will be compatible with a lot of mobile devices. Standards and procedures in 2014, this was on the first quarter update. New programs, CCR Heliotrox, and then a rebreather cave program for cavern, intro to cave, and full cave. ERDI was the helicopter underwater evacuation diver and then testifying in court. Standards update for SDI. Section 8.11 in the 2-year renewal process, there was a line added for Dive Master Assistant Instructors for the SDI side of things, and then in the subsequent TDI and ERDI for either Dive Masters and Supervisors. So now, if you go in there, it'll tell you exactly what you need to do to update a Dive Master AI or Supervisor, and any instructor who is qualified to teach those, of course, can do that update. General course standards, diver standards. This is in 2.7 SDI standards. Talks about the minimum requirements, and it just says that the instructor and the students must be wearing a single cylinder back mount configuration for both the Scuba Discovery and the Open Water Scuba Diver program. They cannot be using a side mount. General course standards for 2.9, upgrading from junior certification to full SDI certification. It clarifies the procedure as far as what you need to do. How about double set for an open water certificate? Not for open water diver certification, no. Has to be a single cylinder. Myron, sorry about that. Michelle, I'll look at that as far as the tentative, the problem that you have sometimes putting out tentative products for review and development. Things sometimes get, as you well know, get pushed back because you have other things that become more of a priority. So sometimes it's difficult to say we're going to do this year, and then other things come down the pipe, and you have to not do what you had intended to do. So I would think that some of the revisions and stuff may be shared with ROs, but I'm not sure. I'd have to check and see. Okay, so back to the General Course Standards 2.9, just a procedure for upgrading from open water to, or junior open water to full open water. Scuba Discovery, ratios were changed, pool to 6-to-1, open water 1-to-1. 2-to-1, excuse me, 1-to-1 for divers under 14. 30 minutes of pool time is required before the open water, and a maximum depth of 30 feet or 9 meters. Also required subject is communication is now listed in there as a required subject. Skills that were added: remove and replace the weight system at the surface, oral inflation, and communications. Open water scuba diver. Swim evaluation must be done before any scuba skills are taught. And clarified that instructors are not allowed to carry photo or video equipment during open water dives. If videos or pictures are to be taken of students during their open water dives for future memories, then a third party must be in the water to do that. The instructor cannot do that, and certainly the students are not, shouldn't be taking videos and photos either. Rescue diver, prerequisite changed from advanced diver to advanced adventure diver. General course standards. This is specialty courses. Again, going from the junior certification to a full SDI certification. There's a procedure there for them to upgrade. Instructor course standards just clarified what the instructor trainer swim requirements are. With the SDI side of things, the IT staff had to do the same thing as the IT, and there was some misunderstanding as far as, okay, it doesn't list it in the IT, so I don't have to do that if I haven't done the IT staff. Well, no, you have to meet all the IT staff requirements, and then the IT is in addition to that, but we just simply copied everything in the water and made sure that the instructor trainer standards show exact same swim requirements as the IT staff. Added scubility to the requirements for the IT level. Scubility standards, remove 3 dives per day for the dive buddy, and the Scubility Instructor Upgrade Program corrected the suggested hours from 20 to 8. Somewhere it got it changed from 8 to 20, so we needed to get it back to where it was, so it's now back to 20 or to 8. And also the 3 dives per day was removed from that area too. TDI standards, added the procedure for the TDI dive masters, as I mentioned earlier. The course overview corrected the number of dives required for extended range in the matrix itself. Updated the rebreather matrix to include all the units that TDI currently offers training for. So that was thoroughly reviewed and updated, and all the units as of the first quarter were added to it. Seems like a new CCR or SCR is added all the time, so we're trying to keep up with them that we have training available for. Diver course standards, conducting dives using CCRs, added advanced rec and mine diver to the list of courses that can be taught using a CCR. Remove the requirement for student and instructor to be on the same unit when conducting courses using CCRs, as we talked about earlier. Just clarified that in second quarter. TDI side mount just clarifies the requirements on what it takes to become a TDI side mount instructor. That is under the diver standard at the very end of the TDI diver side mount diver standard. So if you have any questions on where that is, go to the TDI diver, look at the very end, and it'll tell you what you need to do to upgrade to an instructor for that. TDI diver removed the CCR unit names from all the individual standards and made them just like the instructor standards. Replaced the Mark 6 with the Mark 6-7 throughout the diver standards. And then Cavern Diver added TDI diving and overhead environment as a suggested reading manual. Full Cave Diver clarified the requirements if decompression stops are conducted. Clarified Full Cave Diver, clarified it if decompression stops are conducted during the course. Looks like the same thing there. Oh, needed. Added Rebreather Discovery Program, which is like a scuba discovery, but it's for people who want to try rebreathers before they put the money out for the training and the equipment. They can try that. Added the KISS GEM Sidekick Diver. CCR Air Diluent Deco clarified crossover requirements. Added Helitrox CCR Diver. Added specific requirements for the mixed gas for the Mark 6-7. Same for Deco, same unit. Changed the maximum depth for the 6-7 to 40 meters to match the Poseidon Deco battery. Added planning for bailout Deco. And added the use of the DSV ADV for diluent flushes. Added the Hollis Explorer Rebreather Diver. Added the Mixed Gas Diver for that, again, Mark 6-7. Revised the prerequisites. Added the Rebreather Cavern Diver Standard. Rebreather Introductory Cave Diver Standard. And added the Rebreather Full Cave Diver Standard. These are 3 new ratings that were added to where an individual meets certain criteria, they can do the appropriate level if the instructor is properly qualified, which we'll talk about in a minute. Replaced Mark 6 with the Mark 6.7 throughout the leadership standards, updated the rebreather matrix, Intro to Tech, all of those programs right there that are listed, added the cue cards and the evaluation slates as optional materials. All rebreather courses added the TDI CCR pre-flight. Right now the Spirit and the Spirit Light, I think that's a brand new thing that's come down from my understanding, so we'll have to look at that and make that decision. DECO procedures added the following as far as minimum certification. Full cave instructor course added the following to the prerequisites. Again, this is a prerequisite. Make sure that this is all done before the individual starts the program. Added the KISS GEM Sidekick instructor, added the Hollis Explorer rebreather, added rebreather full cave diver instructor. There's only one level for the instructor, rebreather full cave diver. There's not a rebreather cavern, a rebreather intro to cave. There's only one level. The instructor has to be that level to be able to issue the other two diver ratings. So if you have any questions on that, go to the standards, look that up. If you have any additional questions, contact us at the training department and we will get an answer for you. Standardize the IT and water requirements to make them consistent with SDI and ERDI IT levels. So again, the water requirements for all three are the same because typically we're doing an ITW and people will come out of that as SDI and TDI or SDI and ERDI. They're all together, so we're having our people do all the same swim requirements. Clarified the requirements for upgrading to the IT level for certain TDI programs. So if you have any questions, go in there. Typically it will say that you need to have so many divers that you've issued certifications to. It's typically 10. And I believe that it says, unless it's specifically stated in the matrix below, a minimum of 10 divers is required to upgrade to the IT level for that particular program. CCR crossovers, this is just a recap. This has gone out a couple of times as far as not accepting crossovers from certain agencies because they don't meet the requirements or the equivalency ratings. So again, anytime you have a question whether there's something that's acceptable for a crossover, before you simply accept it, when in doubt, ask. ERDI added the procedure for the 2-year renewal for, in this case, supervisors. Changed the required time from the 100-meter buddy tow from 6 minutes to 4 minutes. Somehow that got changed and it should have always been 4 minutes. Added the helicopter underwater escape training program. Leadership updated the swim requirements to reflect those of the TDI and SDI IT levels. And really, group, that is it unless anybody has any questions. Well, as I stated earlier, I will put a note in everybody's profile that states that you have attended the update today, and I appreciate your time, no matter where you're at in the world. Some of you probably got up early, some of you stayed up late, some of you are starting your day, some of you are ending your day, some of you may be in the middle of your day. But I certainly appreciate your time and effort today. And certainly if there is any additional questions that we have not answered or you think about it later on, certainly shoot us an email, and we will get back to you soon. I thank you for your time, and you all have a good day now.